Hey everyone, and welcome to Isms by Josie. Today we're going to be completing the bread and butter from the snack knit kit that I got from Five Below. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in. And for my new viewers, please consider subscribing, share, hit that like button, leave a comment below, and click on that notification bell for future videos. So today, you guys, we're going to be completing this bread and butter. If you had missed part 1 of this series, go ahead and click on that video. I'm going to leave the playlist at the end of this one. But we're just going to go straight ahead into sewing these pieces together. These videos are a supplement to the instructions that you received in your kit. If you don't have these instructions, I definitely recommend going to Five Below online or in store and getting the bread and butter snack knit kit, and the instructions will further help you. So I'm going to go into sewing these pieces. We're going to need one of these cream rectangles. I'm going to set these other pieces aside, and then we're going to need the edging. Based on the instructions, it looks like that they want you to sew with the tan color, but it looks like there's not going to be enough. I'm going to use this to be sealing the edges, so I'm going to leave this alone. Meanwhile, I'm going to grab the rectangle piece. This is the second one I did. I didn't weave in the end pieces here. What I'm going to actually do is when I sew around, I'm just going to hide it inside. And I realize that's something that you can probably do yourself as well, rather than spending the extra time trying to weave in that extra piece. So like I said, I'm going to start with the cream color, and I'm going to hope that it goes all the way around with no issues. If not, I do have some yarn left over. But we'll see what happens. It looks like the first side we don't necessarily need to leave a gap for the stuffing, so maybe when we sew on the second rectangle I'll leave the gap. But because this is pretty straightforward, I'm going to be doing this in silence. What I want to do while I'm here, you want to be able to do row for row. So I'm having it vertical, laid out vertically, so you can see the individual rows that you have here. You want to line it up to the rows at the edging, and I know the colors are kind of blurring out the rows, but in your perspective, in your naked eye, you can see the rows individually. So just when you're sewing it, line up the rows. That way you'll have enough space, or I don't even know how to say this, but you won't be stretching it out or anything. And then when you get to the sides with the stitches, do a stitch per row. And then we're gonna see what happens with that, because I'm looking at this piece here and I'm looking like maybe, yeah, it kind of looks like it's gonna fit. Maybe I'll have extra, we can just tuck it in, we'll see. Alright, but like I said, I'm gonna do this in silence. Alright, so I've sewn all the way around and I made a little knot. I want to tuck that inside here, and then I'm going to sew up the edges here, and again I'm going to line up the rows that we have. And then once we get to that other side, I'm going to do a knot. Okay. Tuck that end into here as well, and then I'm going to grab the other rectangle that we have. And then I'm going to attach it to I get to choose which corner I'm going to use. This already has a bunch and I don't want it sticking out when I push in the stuffing. So I'm just going to use this. Well, you know what, actually, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Alright, we're just going to use the same corner. And then again, we're going to do row for row, stitch for stitch, and then we'll come back in and continue with the next steps. Remember to leave a gap. I'm going to leave a gap to put the stuffing in. So I left a little space to put in the stuffing, and it comes with stuffing, of course, so use that. You can always buy your own stuffing if you wanted to add more, or if you wanted to do another one of these. I've got a whole 32 ounces of stuffing, so I can make a full loaf of bread if I wanted. But so far, so cute. Okay, so use your hands to shape up the stuffing. You want to make sure you get into every corner so that it has a nice even fluff to it. Alright. Now let me look at the instructions before we seal this off, just in case it's asking us to do some other stuff. Oh, well, while we're here, grab a couple of wads of stuffing. Okay, because we actually have to fill in the other pieces. So make sure they're pretty much close in size. Alright. So now I'm just going to redistribute the stuffing that I am leaving in the toast, and then I'm going to seal this off. It actually has you doing the little rectangle pieces first. So I'm going to leave this open. These instructions are a little questionable. Alright, so I'm going to thread up one of my pieces here. It says take one cream rectangle and fold it in half along the short side. Okay, and then we're going to stitch two sides closed with cream yarn. And then we're going to do it to the other rectangle as well. So this is going to be harder to see. But we're going to try to line this up and try to make it nice. I guess these are supposed to be hands. So they have it to where you are sewing it looking like instead of a rectangle, it looks like it wants to be like a little oval on top for the hand parts, so a little rounded on this side. So we'll do that. And the tail on this is going to be more than enough to sew, so I'm going to go down one end and then I'm going to come back around because we have to sew this other side, right? So and they want you to stitch two sides of it. Okay, so now we have this little pocket. And we're going to put a small bit of stuffing into each of the hands. This might be a little too much, so I might actually just half this. Okay. Stitch them into place on the bread. I am going to seal this first before I do that. Okay, and once we have this little hand, we're gonna sew this on. They have it coming from the corner up like that, so I'm gonna take this and sew it onto this corner. Okay, we're going to sew it all the way around. Okay, then I'm going to find a moment and tie a knot. Then I'm going to go in here, and I guess since this is still open, I'm going to pull the needle through and remove it, retuck that piece in there. Okay, and then I'm going to put the other one on this side. Again, we're going to fold this in half, and we're going to sew the two sides. Okay, then I'm going to grab some of that stuffing. And then we're going to sew up this. So then I'm going to stick this here. We're going to sew around. Okay, I'm trying to sew the last few bits. I'm going to tie myself the knot. Okay, and then I'm going to go in here again, pull the needle out. Oh. Let's try this again. And then I do have a little bit left. I'm just going to put this back in here and then reshape it. Okay, and then we're going to close this. I'm going to tie my knot. I'm going to try to bury this in here. Okay. Reshape it. Alright, so far so cute. Right, you can shape your plush, sculpt it with sculpting stitches to create a divot at the top of the bread. Alright, so it's talking about that. I'm going to do that with the tan color. Okay. So we're going to stick our needle here, and we're going to feed it through. Try to feed it directly on the other side in the middle. Okay, then we're going to come back up. I'm going to go around a row, and then you want to come back up again right in the middle around the row. Now, I want to leave a little bit of yarn so I can tie this off. Make sure I flatten out this bottom here because I only want the divot on top. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to keep it from not divoting at the bottom. But pull this through. Okay. Then you want to squish this part down to where, not too much, but a little bit so that you can tie your knot. Her little divot, it's cute. Alright, I'm going to double knot this. Okay. Then I'm going to cut this up. Let's rethread this, you guys. Alright, and what I'm going to do is stick this into the project, come out the other side. I'm going to try to pull it to where the tail ends get stuck in there. You can probably just cut the excess down here. Re-squish it so the divot stays on top, not at the bottom. There's a little bit, but not too bad. Okay. Alright, so then we have to stick on the eyes. It just says eye. And just counting this off, they have the rows actually go this way. I have mine going this way. Oh well. If you want some extra support for these eyes, you can always sew with some black thread. And then we're going to put on the mouth. And the mouth you want to put kind of close to the eyes up here. Okay. Then you have this little pad of butter. And I'm gonna have it how they have it. It's kind of situated in between the hands, like it's holding the butter. This thing is just disgustingly cute. I can't. Smush that down. Okay. So I think that's it for the instructions. Here we have our little bread and butter. Here is what I ended up making. I can't, you guys. This is too cute. Let's do it this way. Alright, so comment below. Let me know how this went for you. I love this toast. I could make a bunch of these. This is so stinking cute. But at any rate, alright, let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any requests. It'd be faster if you contact me. My info is in my about section. But anyways, thank you so much, you guys, for watching. This is Isms by Josie. Please share, like, and subscribe for future videos, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.